We'll pivot from a dysfunctional team that wears purple, potentially, to a properly functional team that wears purple in Baltimore, which always has a plan, and everyone's always on the same page, and they've managed to find a way to keep the guy who is the DNA match to Jim Harbaugh under control since 2008, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. They wait, and they wait, and they wait. I'm trying to think of the movie where, you know, all this chaos is going on, and there's somebody who's just like, let's wait. Let's almost like in Gladiator, hold.
Yeah.
Hold. Like you know exactly when to move.
Right.
They know exactly when to move. They knew exactly when to move on Derrick Henry. Not day one. If you move on day one, you're going to pay more than you want to pay. You move on day two. Oh, but what if somebody else gets Derrick Henry? Hold. But it's Derrick Henry. Let's be patient. It'll work. They did the same thing with Lamar Jackson in 2018 in the draft. The owner wanted to take him in the middle of the draft. They took, who's the tight end they took instead? Hunter Henry?
Yeah, no, the kid.
Not Hayden Hurst.
Exactly.
Hayden Hurst.
Right. Yep.
Hunter Henry, Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst. I knew it as it was coming out. It was two H's, but the other letters after that were not the right ones. But they did it then. We'll be able to swoop back into the bottom of the round and get him. Trust me. And it worked. Derrick Henry. They wait a day, and it works. 2-year deal, reportedly worth $16 million, $8 million a year. That $8 million a year number has become kind of the de facto running back market number. And then you dig into the deal details, and okay. But the bottom line is they got the guy who has been the best running back in football in the past several years. And we all knew they were interested in him, and they waited, and they got him a day after the market started. This is just an example of how the Ravens have it figured out. They know how to be patient, to sit and wait, and make their move at the right time. Even though, I mean, they did it last year with OBJ, and they overpaid OBJ. They aren't right all the time. But that's what makes Derrick Henry a no-brainer. Whatever they're giving Derrick Henry, I mean, they're getting him for 2 years for $1 million more base than what they gave OBJ for one. Hell yeah, it's a good deal for them.
Yeah, it's a great deal. I mean, again, we knew there was talk or interest during the trade deadline with Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens. I think all of us thought maybe that could be a possibility or happen, right? That was definitely going through the rumorville of the NFL. You sit here and you go through the process, and I think you explained it right. Baltimore, you know, come on, they're one of the best, one of the most well-run organizations in all of football. They're going to be patient with it. They don't want to overpay. They also know, hey, we got a really good team, right? They probably know a guy like Derrick Henry doesn't want to go to some team that's in a rebuild mode. He wants to go to a team that's like us, right, where he can end off his career, maybe going to a Super Bowl, playing in some AFC championship games, certainly being on a team that's elite, let alone go out on a team that, hey, wait, I got other people around me, right? This isn't like the last 2 years with the Tennessee Titans where there's nothing else to defend except Derrick Henry running up the middle, and everybody's just like, well, we'll just worry about that because there's nothing else to worry about. Now he's going to be on a football field with Lamar Jackson, one of the best offensive lines in football, one of the best young, talented groups of receivers in football, right? And then we talk about like a guy who, you know, you get him going downhill, and when he gains all his speed, right? When you talk about the defensive coordinators and they go, how do you stop Derrick Henry? It's like, don't let him get going. You need to get around his feet and stop the momentum and stop the train going before it starts chugging down the tracks, right? He's going to have room in Baltimore. So, yes, this is like the most Baltimore move ever, right? It's like I should have bet money on it. What was I thinking, right? It's the Ravens. They pillage the biggest, baddest dudes on the planet every year. Derrick Henry's towards the top of that list. Here he is. Welcome to Baltimore. I mean, he fits the Ravens, the mantra, everything. It's great to see.
I mean, we saw him run through the Ravens defense in England when they played this year. And we want that guy. Why do we want to have to tackle that guy?
Right.
We want that guy to be out there forcing our opponents to try to tackle him. And that's the way he's always been. I remember when he first really landed on the scene and emerge. It's like, this is a guy who, if he gets those first couple of steps,
yes,
you got a problem.
Yes,
because he's fast and he's big. And I don't remember much about what I learned in physics class in college, but the bigger something is and the faster it's moving, the greater the impact when it hits something. So all the more reason to get out of the way, or you're going to get posterized and thrown to the ground by a stiff arm from Derrick Henry. So he's still got gas in the tank.
Yes, he does.
And I think this is a great move for the Ravens. You take him, and he's led the NFL in rushing since 2018 with 8,268 yards. That was the year Lamar Jackson entered the NFL.
Right.
Jackson has 5,258 rushing yards, leading all quarterbacks. So you've got the NFL rushing leader since 2018 in Henry and the quarterback rushing leader in Lamar Jackson.
And the team that led the NFL in rushing, right? I mean, yeah.
After a loss in the playoffs at home, where what did they fail to do sufficiently?
Yeah,
they
run
failed
the ball.
To run it.
Right.
They failed to run it. Now, how can you ever fail to run it when you've got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson back there? So, remember last year with the Todd Monken offense, it's like, what are they going to do? And it took a while, and it got going, and they diversify it. But I think they understand. At the end of the day, when you get to January, if you want to separate, if you want to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline drinking Gatorade, as you like to say, you got to run the ball.
Right.
You got to chew the clock.
That's right.
You got to limit the opportunities for Mahomes to steal your heart out and show it to you. And
Yeah.
I think they figured that lesson out the hard way, losing the AFC Championship game at home.
Right? I mean, how many times during the year last year did you hear me say, and we had conversations where I was like, Baltimore, run the damn ball. You're at your best when you do that. I think you're right. They probably they realized that. It was a tough lesson they had to learn. But we're seeing, I mean, again, a lot of the good teams in football, you look at the two teams in the NFC Championship, and what do the 49ers and Lions do really well? They run the ball, right? There's a lot of benefits to that. Not only controlling the clock, resting your defense, running the ball, is the best way to create explosive plays also in the passing game with the play action. That was chopped away from them in the AFC Championship game the championship game because they never really got a run game going, right? I mean, this is just allows them to, impose their physicality, and hopefully they play a little bit more of a balanced way last year. I do think, and I think we had these conversations a lot during the year, they got a little too obsessed with, hey, it's Todd Monken, and we got the receivers, and we paid Lamar all this money, and we're going to throw the ball more than we're going to run the ball. And I'm okay with that, but I think they erred a little too far on that altogether and certainly lost their way in the AFC Championship game. There's no doubt about that. But, yeah, this is a perfect fit for attitude team, right? Derrick Henry's a great leader. He's got no diva-ness about him at all. He works hard as hell. He does an unbelievable job. I mean, you follow him on Instagram. He's one of the most cutting-edge workout guys there are out there. He doesn't really have an injury history. And listen, if you can run for over 1,000 yards last year on that Tennessee team with no real weapons at receiver to really worry about, right? Tannehill, Levis, quarterback situation, offensive line wasn't necessarily something you write home about and go, oh, the Tennessee Titans O-line is special, and he still ran for 1,100 yards. I mean, yes, sign me up for Derrick Henry. He's not the guy he was 4 or 5 years ago, but he's still damn good. He can move a pile and break some big runs.
Let's see how that shakes up the AFC North odds if we haven't flashed those on the screen. If we have, I missed it. But the Ravens, who won it last year and were the number 1 seed in the AFC, yeah, they have the Browns to contend with. Yeah, Joe Burrow's going to be back for the Bengals. The Steelers, don't write them off either with Russell Wilson coming to town. There are the Ravens as the favorites, courtesy of DraftKings Sportsbook at plus 115. Bengals just behind. Browns more distant, Steelers bringing up the rear. What has the world come to that the Steelers are at the bottom of the stack? But hey, they have not been, even though Mike Tomlin gets the most out of them, they've not been as talented as the other teams in the division in recent years. And they're trying to fix that, and they're trying to change that, and we'll see if it works. So AFC North, great division. AFC, great conference. Yet again, whoever comes out of that morass is going to be well positioned to compete with the best the NFC has to offer. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.